Well, she's under 2 criminal investigations, and there's also plenty of video out there where there's a direct contradiction between what the FBI has said they were investigating, what she was guilty of, and then what she has said they said. So she's not honest. She's just not. I mean, it's pretty clear when you compare many things to what she said versus the actual facts. It's just, she's a lawyer. She's a lawyer who became a politician. She's a career politician. She knows what to do. She's got Teflon in her DNA, and she keeps plowing forward no matter what. She doesn't do interviews. She's not doing any of these rallies. She's just going forward, and it's very bizarre. There's also a lot of questions. I mean, Dr. Drew did some big thing the other day talking about her health because, you know, she had fallen down in 2012 and apparently like had a blood clot on her brain and really hurt herself really badly. And at her advanced age, this is a really dangerous condition. And he talked about her health care and talked about the care that she received and what the diagnosis was. And he's like, this is dangerous stuff. And so who knows how much of her behavior, because traumatic brain injuries are really significant when it comes to the way your brain works post-injury, the way you behave, impulsive behavior, aggression.
I made a program on that subject.
Did you?
Yeah, last year.
What was it about? I mean,
it was called A Different Brain, and it was set in a brain injury rehabilitation clinic in the UK, and it was basically about serious personality changes in the wake of a traumatic brain injury. As you say, impulsivity, sometimes a lack of empathy, erratic behavior, and it was about people. You know, inevitably it's about the relationships that they're in and the way in which people have to adapt around to the new needs. And, you know, yeah, it's unbelievable stuff. I mean, you know better than anyone from your sports kind of interests that post-boxing, post-NFL, post-hockey, if you're a fighter in hockey, and pro wrestling too, there's been several terrific documentaries, one by Steve James called Head Games, and a few others that all examine, I mean, the levels of erratic behavior after an NFL career are unreal. Whether it's divorce, bankruptcy, suicide, or serious depression, it's off the charts.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand from friends who became erratic and became really unstable after getting beat a few times in mixed martial arts fights. I've seen it from boxers, people that I knew when I was young, and then I met them 10, 15 years later, and life was a mess. They become alcoholics. They have a huge issue with their endocrine system, and they supplement with alcohol and drugs to try to self-medicate. It becomes a real problem. I mean, the brain is very fragile. It's connected with this very, very soft connective tissue that keeps it in place inside the head. It's just not meant to be hit that much. You know, you're meant to like survive a few bumps and bruises, and that's what it's kind of designed for. And anything else, especially prolonged, continued abuse like that, can have dire consequences. Or one significant injury can have dire consequences.
One significant one can be life-changing, or in the sports context, 2 concussions, I'm sure you know, back-to-back within a single sort of space of time, like one game. You know, the first one's not good, but the second one is cataclysmic. Yes,
and it happens a lot of times where people deny the first concussion, and they go right back to playing football, or they go right back to sparring. It's a huge issue.
But you think Hillary may have a TBI, a traumatic brain injury?
Well, I'm no doctor, obviously, but she definitely had a traumatic brain injury.
Really?
She fell, and she had a blood clot on her brain. I mean, this is all open public record, the diagnosis. When you have a blood clot on your brain at 60-something years of age, that is incredibly dangerous. It's really bad. And then you have to address, like, what made her pass out in the first place? Like, what made her black out when she fell down and hit her head? That's not good. I think what we really need in this country is like some altruistic Elon Musk type character, a real genius, someone who's like a really brilliant person who sees the state the country's in and offers some intelligent, well thought out solutions. That doesn't exist because those people are too busy doing whatever they're doing. So what we're left with is career politicians and then this madman who's a reality TV star, who's a casino man. I don't think that our system is good. I think it's very archaic. I think it's just not the best we can do. And I think we're just going to continue to use it until it blows up in our face. It's like instead of redesigning cars, we've got some Model T and we keep adding turbochargers to it and fucking bigger wheels. And someone says, hey man, I think we can make a better car. Fuck that. This is our car. USA, USA. And they keep just slapping bolts and fucking rivets and screwing this thing in place. And it's not good. It's not a good system, and it's not the best we can do. It's certainly not ideal. And I think human beings in all areas of life other than our political system, we have advanced radically since the 1700s. If you look at the way we approach education, if you look at our ability to communicate with each other, if you look at technology, the innovation and the constant expanding of our horizons and possibilities as far as what we're capable of with technology, all those things have radically improved since then. But we still have this goofy system that was created back when people rode horses, wrote with feathers, and when you wanted to picture something, you had to draw it. I mean, that is dumb.
But that's great, because that's a great metaphor for the human brain in a way, and kind of a big thought to carry us as we sort of draw to the close of our interview. But, because the brain, our brains are hinged around the innermost parts of our brain, the amygdala, which is essentially reptilian in origin, and so many of our deepest impulses, the sort of fear response and so forth, are programmed from a kind of evolutionary heritage. We've got neurocircuits that go back thousands, if not millions of years. And, that metaphor you used to describe our political system of being an old jalopy that's been turbocharged is in essence what our brains are. And, as much as it would be lovely to believe that technology and our ability to control nature and control our environment had been hand in hand with sort of a moral and civilizational improvement, that you could deduce maybe as many examples that suggest that all it's done is allowed us to do everything, whether for good or ill, more efficiently and more effectively.
Yeah.
So we can help more people, we can blow more people up. You can drive faster, but you can drive faster away from a crime. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hold out any huge hope that there'll be positive change.
Really? See, I think that,
I might be wrong. Sometimes I read things that persuade me otherwise.
I think that we're more advanced and more safe now than ever before. I think if you look back on 2,000 years ago and you look at today, which is just a blink in the eye in terms of the age of the Earth, it's infinitely better to live today than it is then.
Certainly here in America or in the West, but in a globe with 6 billion?
I think it's 7.
If you were dropped at random on Earth, where would you? Chances are you wouldn't be Joe Rogan. You would probably be what? I don't know. What would you? You'd probably be.
Well, there's certainly
China
some horrible
somewhere,
places
working in making Apple phones in a factory.
You could be, or you could be in China, living in some skyrise, being some multi-billionaire cell phone magnate. Who the hell knows? There's certainly some wonderful spots in the world outside of America. There's certainly some great places to live. Even if you live in poverty, you could live a wonderful, happy life that's way safer than it would be thousands and thousands of years ago. The internet is pretty much worldwide. Cell phones are pretty much available everywhere now. And so I think that access to communication is going to change the way people view the world because they're going to have more data to choose from. They're going to have more cherry picking that they can do. They can certainly have more confirmation bias and stick to their own group, like we're talking about with Scientologists who don't go on the internet, don't take any suppressive information, and don't watch any videos. And